Oh, I don't know what's happened here. Oh yeah, that's better. Give us 2 seconds. I'm just going to talk about relapse here. A lot of people I'm speaking to at the moment seem to be relapsing. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the summertime or whatever. Or maybe it's just because of the economy. I'm not quite sure. Any thoughts? I just think, well, you know, right, that's better. A lot of people who I'm speaking to seem to be relapsing at the moment. I don't know why. Have you got any thoughts about this? But I just think it's the economy, to be honest. I think there's more people in trouble with money than ever before. And I think that causes... Hi, Chris. I think the money situation causes issues with a lot of people at the moment. The big recession coming, and I think that drives people to drink. And I've mentioned before, Wetherspoons is cheap. But a lot of people I've been talking to seem to be slipping back into heavy drinking again. I don't know why that is. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on this, because relapse, as you know, is the worst thing. Because once you start coming off it... Hi, Chris. How are you doing? I'm just talking here about relapse and why more people seem to be relapsing in the summer. I mean, it's been quite warm. It's not particularly in the northeast. I was in Dublin the weekend with my partner. It wasn't particularly warm there. But what I did find in Dublin, when the pubs weren't as busy as here, it was certainly weren't as busy as Newcastle. And I'm just thinking, hi Jimmy, I'm just talking about relapse here. What do you think is the trigger for relapsing? More people are relapsing. Do you think it's the weather, the economy, or otherwise? Hi Tom, I'm very well, thanks. I just want to know what people think about this, because I think that trying to go out, maybe people are going out. I'm not sure if that, maybe because, do you think it's the weather though? More people are going because of the weather, or there just seems to be a lot of problems with people. I was speaking to a specialist nurse the other day from NHS who deals solely in alcoholism problems and, well, addiction really, and cirrhosis of the liver, that sort of thing. And she was saying there's more and more youngsters dying of cirrhosis, Hiya, Mike. More and more people are dying much younger because... Hello, Mark. Because of the fact that drinks are stronger and people are drinking more. But in the papers and in the media, you hear all this nonsense about youngsters aren't drinking as much. I think they're drinking more because it's stronger stuff, So my particular problem was cirrhosis. And that was... It's a long-term thing, cirrhosis. It builds over a number of years. But people are getting it quicker and younger, and they're dying younger. So the number of people who are younger are dying much quicker. And, in the 30s, it used to be a disease of the late 50s, early 60s, cirrhosis of the liver. But it's getting much worse. The pub seems... yeah, I just read that about the pub scene in Ireland. I wonder why it's dying there. Because it's always been a big Guinness thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? I just think the whole of society seems to be breaking down. Law and order's breaking down. Schools haven't got any control of the children anymore. People are drinking more on the streets. And there just doesn't seem to be any control of it. I still keep going back to these pubs that open early. That's causing a lot of issues. Because you go in the bar there at 9 o'clock and it's packed. No, see, Mary's relapsed. This is the problem, you see. The thing is, when you relapse, you always think, well, I did, you always think you got control of it again. Because it's a total misconception that you can be off for 6 months and everything feels well again and you've got control of it, because it will always come back and bite you on the backside, as it were. And when it does that, it's worse. And people have got to realise that they just can't have one or two. As Liam Gallagher said, you don't go for one pint, you go for 100, don't you? And that's the problem with alcohol, One with that pub scene. Yeah, where's that? What sort of area is that, Neil? Because the pub scene isn't that clever in some places, especially rural areas, Yeah, Wetherspoons, 9 AM. It's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? This Wetherspoons carry on, and they're all day, Really, really bad. Hypnotherapy. I don't believe in that. I believe the only way to get off drink is to get over the withdrawal by either cold turkey if you can. If you're dependent, you can't do that because you're going to have seizures like I had. Maybe get some health doctors, but they're not giving diazepam anymore. Supermarkets as well, yeah, much cheaper than it used to be, isn't it? North East Middlesbrough, that's really bad. My partner's been doing some work down there. I've been to Middlesbrough a few times. The pubs there, by midday on a Monday, they're rocking. Got karaoke and all sorts, And in a place like Spennymoor, County Durham, maybe the old mining towns, all that sort of thing. Well, there's a lot of deprivation. Alcohol-related deaths are high in deprived areas. We had a chat with a consultant the other day. Even in areas of the south where people drink more than the north, the chance of staying alive are better in the south because of diet, lifestyle, better education, all that sort of thing. It's all linked to deprivation. It's a very complicated subject, this. But what has opened my eyes the last 14 months doing this is how many people have got issues, how many people have got problems. It's just getting worse and worse. And it's out of control, isn't it? Because it's everywhere. And it's basically so available. And it is cheaper than it used to be years ago. So it's crazy. And no, Billingham, yeah, that's Teesside way, isn't it? Yeah. If you only drink lager, that's all I drank, lager. But it's just because you get to the point of regular drinking. That's what cirrhosis is. It's regular drinking, which builds up fatty liver disease and fibrosis, and you get cirrhosis, scarring. You see, Georgia, hi. How are we doing? Hypnotherapy. Went to the pub when he came out. Exactly, yeah. Hypnotherapy doesn't work. For me, the AA was waste time. The only thing that worked for me was when the doctor told me in 2019, he said, "You'll die if you drink again." And that's the only thing that worked. I tried numerous times to come off it, but when he's told that, that's good. 15 years off, it's amazing. Minimum pricing in Scotland, some positive effect, yeah, but not a lot, Chris, how are you doing? It's all down to self-discipline, maybe. It's hard though, that, self-discipline when you're addicted. It's not just a question of, the problem is coming off. It's when you're coming off, it's staying off, isn't it? 5 months sober, that's good. And you lost 3.5 stone. Well, as long as you had a bit of weight to lose, that's good. Because I went the other way. I was malnourished, and I went down to 9 stone, and I'm 6'3". Russell. Yeah, 300 quid to do tour. Drink hypnosis, no. Well, that's a scam, as far as I'm concerned. Hypnosis, goodness me, come on. If it was that easy, why have you got all these surgeons floating around, working 12-hour shifts if you'd just be a hypnotist? It's nonsense. I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in ghosts. That's just my opinion. I've seen the other side of it in the police. I've seen post-mortems, I've seen people with heads chopped off and killed on railway lines and all that. There's no ghost floating about. I've never seen a ghost in the middle of the night in parts of London where I've been on night duty. Russell, yeah, the withdrawals are the worst. That's when you know you're in trouble. When you withdraw, or when your hangover becomes a withdrawal, then you're in real mess. But there's a lot of people on here who aren't as bad as I was. And if I can do it, you can do it. Because I was really, really on death's door, I saw this nurse the other day. I'm going to do some work with the alcohol care team in the northeast. And it was the same nurse I saw in 2019 when I had all this ascites fluid. And I said to her the other day, it was last Tuesday, I said, "Did you think I was going to die?" She said, "Oh yeah, we thought you'd die." Because your prognosis was to live 1 year in 2019, even off the booze. So I've just been lucky, I think. But a lot of people get to that stage where you can't control it unless you really put the brakes on. It's very, 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 very difficult. Hiya. What's going on? Well, please don't help me with this because my story is real. I'm still here today, 6 years after I was diagnosed with decompensated alcohol-related disease, which is the worst because that's when you've got symptoms. A lot of people have got compensated liver disease where you don't actually have any symptoms, and alcohol-related liver disease especially is the silent killer. But as you know, it also causes problems with high blood pressure, cancers and all this sort of thing, kidney disease. 5 years in October, that's brilliant. Yeah, antidepressants and figured out it would be, yeah, that's good. 5 years is amazing. Lockdown had a lot to do with that. I think the availability of people's time during lockdown and now when they weren't at home, they've got more of a chance to drink, haven't you? Because nobody's watching you. You're not having to drive to work, get the underground to work, get the train to work. You can just sit in your pants really and do your work, pretend you're doing this. That's what people are doing at work. I mean, I could never work from home. I was in the police force, you can't do that. But it's basically more availability, more opportunity to drink. So if you got up on a Monday morning, traditionally you'd go to work and you'd work off the hangover. But if you're just sitting at home, you're doing a bit of work from home, you can have another drink, can't you? Jamie withdrawals are horrendous, yeah, because you get dehydrated, you become nauseous, you kind of eat very much, and you have hair of the dogs. That think that's when you know you're in trouble. When you reach for a drink to try and get over the pain of the withdrawal, and it's really, really bad, you know. I just don't think there's any benefit to it anymore. And my message is to people, you're going to shorten your life. Will they listen to me or not? I don't know. But even I wouldn't wish what I had on my worst enemy out. If somebody offered me £1 million tomorrow to go back to what I was in 2019 for 10 minutes, I'd turn it down. So I thought I was going to die. And it's extremely frightening when you go to an operating theatre, when there's two anaesthetic doctors there waiting for you and 3 surgeons to try and put a little stent in your liver to try and keep you alive. You know, and then you've seen people who have had liver transplants in the same ward as you, and they go out and you find out they've died. Because you do make contacts, and that's what when you're in for a long period of time, you know. How much were you drinking? Probably 20 pints or so. But with me, it wasn't quantity, it was regularity. So sometimes I only have 5 or 6, but for the best part of 20, 30 years, I was drinking every day. So my liver actually never got a break from it. But everyone's different, you know. The tea prices, yeah, tea prices have a big impact. I am Neil, I'm 63 now. But I would have died at 57 if I hadn't stopped. I think it was weeks away from dying, you know, really bad. It wasn't good at all. Hi Gary, how are you doing? I drink about 6 bottles is too much every day. I need a 60. Yeah, I think it's just too much. If you're drinking 6 bottles every day, that's the problem. Good point there, the casual slacks. I mean, you've got to want to do it yourself. If you haven't got a strong incentive, you'll never give it up, you know. I mean, I was taken to the doctors by my ex-wife, dragged to the doctors basically. And she said, the usual, you must stop drinking. You've got a good career, all this sort of thing. But I did take that on board, you know. I'm not stupid, but I thought, I don't want to give up because it was a massive part of my life. You know, it's really, really something that I've enjoyed. Even in my 30s, I still had hangovers, but it was like, finish work and had a busy shift and you'd go to the boozer. And everyone would go, well, not everybody, you know what I mean? A lot of you go to the pub, and it was a really good social occasion. It was really good fun. Thursday night drinks at work. Yeah, I agree, Cornish, yeah, still pissed on the Monday. Topping up, that's all it is. This is what weekends are like. You know, bank holidays. Bank holidays are just an excuse for people to drink more. We did a study with the London Ambulance Service in about 1992, I think it was, where the peak time for heart attacks on the underground was a Monday between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. or Tuesday if it'd been a bank holiday, between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. All the stress, you see, of the heavy weekend binge and getting up for work and not having another drink. Because when you start to shake, you need another drink, don't you? No, it's really, really bad. Hi, Lenny, how are you doing? I know, do you see this screen is tiny. So you've got to really watch yourself. Do you want to live a healthy life? Another impactive thing is if you're drinking too much, it's going to really impact on your health later on in life and how much care you need. Because I'm 63 now and I'm pretty fit and healthy now. According to the doctors, I am anyway. I feel all right. I'm a little bit tired next when you had 3 hours sleep. I've got an early flight back. However, you can live well, you can be reliable, you eat well, all this sort of thing. A glass of wine, 4 cans. A glass of wine, 4 cans isn't going to kill you. But over time, it will cause issues. Any alcohol will cause issues if it's long term. And you must, if you get your blood check, you see my blood checks come back as satisfactory or normal. Not normal now. So you've obviously got abnormal, normal. Not abnormal, satisfactory or normal. But I've still got cirrhosis of the liver. The blood tests are fine. So all the time I was drinking, I was getting Wellman clinics until the last couple of years. And it was all coming up as clear as a bell. But I had damage from when I was young, according to the surgeon. But like I said, I didn't have a transplant. It was just to put a little stent in my liver to open up the portal vein, because your liver goes from that sort of size to that. If you get cirrhosis, it cramps up and it gets all stiff, like an old leather boot, you know, so you can't get any fluid. That's the problem. So I have to open up the portal vein to allow the blood flow. And that's what causes the ascites before you get the stent put in. It's really, really bad. So you really got to think about this. You've got to think about the future. You've got to think about your health, and the reason that you want to give up. Because I went to the doctor once, and I said, "Oh, I feel really bad. I'm not able to look after my daughter properly and all this, And the doctor said to me, "You can't look after anybody like you look after yourself first. So you've got to be quite selfish with it and think, right, I've got to look after myself first." And when you do come off it for a long period of time, you'll start to eat well. You'll overcompensate the fact you can't go to the pub with other healthy hobbies. Because I never get bored. People say, "Oh, I get bored and I need a few pints," and that's why people relapse. I never get bored, especially since I'm doing this, because it's obviously people like yourselves I speak to all the time. And it's a massive problem, as you know, alcoholism. It's a mad problem. It's getting worse, though. Last year was the highest figures for alcohol-related deaths in the UK. And with females, it's gone up 35%. There's more women drinking. So it's a lot of problems. Peroni, that's a good drink. Taper off, maybe, if it works. Didn't work for me. The tapering off, I used to taper off to a small amount. And when I used to go and stay with my parents, or go to friends, or go to my daughter's in Manchester. Taper off. As soon as I went, I would get more beer, have a couple of sneaky drinks. And when I was offered a little bit, went from like 15 drinks a day down to 4, I'd get back into my flat or something, or in a hotel or whatever. I'd just go to the bar. It felt great. That's another danger, isn't it? When you're feeling good. Jimmy Greaves, alcohol is the putting on a wooden. Yeah, no, yeah, it's true about what Jimmy Greaves said. Yeah, he was a massive alcoholic. It affects all levels of society as well, from the top to the bottom. Hi Nick, how are you doing? Relapse recently after 70 days off. What made you relapse after 70 days off? That's the thing. You've got to look at why you relapsed. I don't fancy pint at the moment. I've actually got an alcohol-free Guinness. But in Dublin, it was actually on tap. Fantastic, really good. Guinness Zero on tap. So, you've got to think about why you're drinking, why do you relapse? I was off for 8 years, and I met this girl and said, "Oh, you tick all the boxes," and I fell in love with her, which was stupid when I was that age. And I just had 1 or 2 drinks. Within 7 days of me having that 1 or 2 drinks, I was going out to the camp shop, and it's this place in Saint-Tropez, to get bottles of beer and drinking them in the shower block. That's how quickly it will come back to you. You can't used to say, "I've had 8 years off." I was really fit then, believe it or not. I got really, really fit after 8 years off. I was going to the gym every day. I didn't have any relationships. I just kept myself away from any stress, any women, the whole lot. It wasn't that easy, but I did it. And then I met somebody when I was really fit, and it just ruined everything, having another drink. And then, like I say, a few months after that, I couldn't get any diazepam, and I was rotten with it. Totally rotten with it. I was tortured. I couldn't leave the flat in the end. I had rats, all sorts of carry on. You've probably seen in the videos, you know what I mean? Really bad. Off the gear and the bottle, that's good. You can keep off it. You've got to keep off it long term, though. It's very difficult when somebody says to you, "You can't have another drink again for the rest of your life." Especially when it's been a big part of your life, because you think, "Christ, what am I going to do with all that time?" When you work out how much time you spend drinking, how much time you spend recovering from it, and you've got all that time free, you might have another, God knows how many man hours I put into a drinking, 50, maybe 60 hours a week. It's a full-time job drinking, and it's a full-time job recovering as well. You've got to try and do something with yourself to actually fill that time in and make yourself, you've got to learn to relax without alcohol, which is not easy if you've been using drink to chill out. And you think you're going to get a good sleep, but you don't get a good sleep. It's always pretty bad, You've got to learn to chill out. A lot of people who drink a lot, especially to the point of alcoholics, not just heavy drinkers, they're very caring people, And most of the people I speak to are overthinkers. We drink to calm the brain. I think that's what we do with it than anything else. I still don't think you're born with alcoholism. I think it's a habit which turns into an addiction. And that's the problem. So when you feel it's a habit and it's becoming regular, then you need to watch what you're doing. And you've got to break that cycle. It's too easy to go to the pub. It's very easy to walk in a pub. It's very difficult to get out again, isn't it? There's a pub in Scotland called the Lobster Pub. You can get in, but you can't get out. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really hard to stop. But you can do it, because what you've got to do is change your mindset. My mother, who was 94, and always said, it's in here, right? It is in here for me, because I've stopped drinking now 5.5 years. And initially it wasn't, because I was addicted and I had seizures. But a lot of people can stop, you know. A lot of people can't taper off. And then it's up to them to make a conscious decision. I'm not going to have a drink, because I know I'm going to end up in a fucking mess. Does that make sense? Because you will end up in a mess. And I speak to various people who live on the street now, and a lot of them have given up drink. And they've lost everything through booze. The jobs, the house, the wife, the kids, the whole lot. And it's really, really bad. You know, and you just got to do it yourself. As in life, you know, you're left to God and good neighbours on you, really. Even when you go to bed with somebody, you're in a marriage, you're still on your own in your head, and no one's going to look after you apart from yourself. And you've got to think it's my life. Anything can happen in a relationship. Anything. You can't rely on anybody else in life. I'm not saying don't trust people. You've got to trust people. But you are on your own with this, unfortunately. I can give you help. The doctors can give you medication if they feel that way. Surgeons can maybe stitch you up, give you a liver transplant if you're really at rock bottom on it. But you yourself have got to stop, and you yourself have got to keep off it. And that's the issue, isn't it? Russell, you need a couple of weeks dry. Yeah, that's the thing. It's got to break the cycle, because you're in a deep rut, you see, when you're drinking all the time. When you're in the really deep rut, when I was in that really deep rut between 2019 and 2014 and 2019, 5 years, I was drinking self-medicate. I couldn't see a way out, but there is a way out. And even if you get to the point of ringing 999, you've got to do something. I was frightened to do that until somebody mentioned to me, if you don't ring 999, you'll pass away in the flat. So that's the only way to do it. Doctors, as far as I'm aware now, will only give you advice to go to the local recovery centres and all that sort of thing, which for me wasn't really a big deal. They didn't really do much for me. There's just a load of people talking, and you had to go there sober, which was hard for me. I was in active addiction. When I was drinking in the morning, I couldn't go to these places sober. You know what I mean? Yeah, thanks, AJ. You will need more than a couple of weeks to get off it, depending on how long you've been drinking. But like I said, the biggest problem is, as soon as you have that next drink after you've had even a week off, you'd be back on it again. You can't do this. It's impossible to have just one. It's just impossible. You haven't got that choice. You haven't got the social drinking choice anymore, you see. You've only got the choice of drinking yourself to death or stopping, really, you know. Thanks, Georgia. See, the thing is, you need a reason. If you're quite happy to go to the pub and drink yourself to death, great, you know. I know guys who do that. I've got a friend, maybe just an ex-drinking, sitting on the table man. He's had pancreatitis twice and ended up in ICU twice. He was off for a year and he started drinking again. He drinks all day, every day. He's 64, I think. He'll not last long. You know, it's not good. It's a lost cause, really. Another guy I'm speaking to at the moment, he's got a mate who's got stomach cancer. He was drinking, would you believe this? It sounds ridiculous. But I think it was about 5 or 6 bottles of wine a day. No wonder he's got cancer. You know, they're throwing that much down your neck. For different reasons, people drink. For me, I had a great time, and it was a way of getting rid of my social anxiety when I was young. That's the thing. First 2 weeks is hardest. It is, yeah. It gets easier with time, you know. If you do a year, sounds ridiculous. If somebody said to me when I was 40, you've got to do a year after drinking, I said, no chance. I couldn't do a day. Not even a day. It was a long day waiting for a drink. Even if you got to wait till 10 o'clock at night, you know. It's not easy to stay off the booze because it's too available. Like I said before, be selfish and just think, do you want to be on a mobility scooter with hardly any money or benefits going to Wetherspoons every week to sit with the same boring bastards? I don't. Because that's what it comes down to, you know. And you will never ever see, and I've said it before, you'll never ever see a happy alcoholic. But you'll never ever see anybody who's sober who regrets getting sober either. But for some reason, a lot of us go back to it. You know, Turkish raki. Oh yeah, that raki stuff. I mean, I don't drink wines or spirits, but I did try that raki. It nearly killed me. Because when you have this raki in Turkey, yeah, it's like an ouzo, but rough. And when you drink water the next day, it makes you pissed again. Really, really bad. I was ill for days with that, really bad. Anxiety, yeah, that's a massive, massive, massive thing for me. Because it started when I was very confident, and I used to get the underground train from Epping, where I lived, into Oxford Circus. That's where the police station was. That was on Savile Road. Now, very beautiful place to work, don't get me wrong. But I couldn't get on the train in the end. I used to sweat, I used to get off. I think the train was going to get bombed or something, just ridiculous thoughts. And I used to take extra sick leave and all this sort of thing. It's horrendous. And then in the end, I used to get a bus, 2 buses from East London. It took me 2 hours, what should have taken me 50 minutes. My whole life was just run by alcohol. It's a full-time job, what's it? Oh, I'm just reading this. Thanks very much, Gareth, for that. Russell, everyone different, yeah, but surely there must be an average. An average of what, though? You mean pints, or? I think an average of what people drink. It's all different, because obviously women's liver is smaller, bigger fellas can drink more. Tolerance is different. I mean, my tolerance was high when I was a teenager compared to my friends. It's a bit like, why could I drink more than my mates? Was I more used to it? Because I was drinking this home brew stuff, which was strong. Because when I joined the police when I was 21, I was pretty young, really, and there was a lot of seasoned drinkers there, and I could drink them under the table. It sounds ridiculous. I was half their size, body mass, but I still drink a lot. And it just maybe what